Hey guys. Somehow, I don't know how I forgot this, but somehow I forgot to review Age of Ultron, which I saw I don't know, I saw it like a week after it came out, I think, so I don't know how I forgot to review that movie. But, here goes. I'm gonna try and review what I can remember. I think I can still do this, even though it's been like a month, even though it's been no, it's been 2 months at this point. I forget it's already July. Uh, Yeah, how did I forget to? Oh my God, man, I'm so mad at myself for forgetting to review this. But Age of Ultron, loved it. I I I I loved it. I've seen like mixed reaction for it online with people saying that it was too like comedic and they couldn't take Ultron seriously. And I guess I get that because this one it was more comedic than the first one. Everybody loves the first one. I personally I liked the first one. But like, there are a couple Marvel movies, there are 3 Marvel movies I can think of that were really like, oh my gosh, this is awesome for me. Um, Avengers 2, Age of Ultron, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Captain America Winter Soldier. Thor was okay, Thor 2 was okay, Captain America 1 was boring. Iron Man 3 I did not think was as bad as people seem to think it is. I actually haven't seen the Edward Norton Hulk movie. Instead I saw the old one from 2003 because I thought that was the one that was a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it doesn't seem like it really matters. Both of them are, like, even the one that is technically a part of the MCU is very loosely linked. It's not even the same actor. Apparently they fired him because of because he's like an asshole or something, and he was hard to work with. The original guy who played the Hulk. Iron Man. It's been too long since I've seen Iron Man 1. That's the only reason I can't say whether I like it whether I love it the way I do with the other 3 movies I've listed. Same with Iron Man 2. But but yeah, I don't know. The first Avengers was cool. And I definitely am not dissing it at all. I think it was a very good movie, but people like you never hear anyone bash the first Avengers. It's like, oh, the first Avengers, best Marvel movie ever. But then when it comes to Age of Ultron, I see a lot of people going, ugh, Ultron was annoying. Ugh, too much comedy. Ugh, I wanted darker. And I think that might have been partially the trailer's fault, because the trailers painted it to look a little darker than it was. Like, okay, that shot of Captain America's broken shield in the trailers that got people, like, excited. That shot was in a hallucination that Iron Man had in the first, like, 15 minutes of the movie. And as soon as I saw the shield in his hallucination, I'm like, oh, man, they took that shot. Oh, man, that shot from the trailers was just a scary hallucination. Dang it. But that was so cool. Like the trailers just ruined, the trailers made it look like that was actually, like, the results of a battle, when it was really just Iron Man's, oh no, all the Avengers are gonna die, like, hallucination. And as soon as I saw the shot of the broken shield, I'm just like, oh man, really? So again, the marketing, the movie was marketed to seem a bit darker than it, but I don't think it was as, like, light and fun as people say it was. It was somewhat dark. I mean, Ultron kind of wisecracked a bit, but I didn't think it was nearly as bad as people said it was. I thought Ultron was the coolest villain we've ever had in the MCU, which I guess is not saying that much because the villains kind of suck in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Even like Guardians of the Galaxy, that villain was a joke. Ronan, the Accuser, he was such a, like, one-dimensional, basically a space terrorist with, like, no further personality at all. And the only other one who I remember, and then all the Iron Man movies have like stupid corrupt businessmen as their villains, which is dumb. The only other villain I can think of from the Marvel universe that I even really liked at all, that I thought was entertaining at all, was Loki. And that's like a fan favorite. People like Loki. Honestly, though, I think Loki's a little overrated. I don't love him as a villain. He's still kind of bland. Ultron is the best one, in my opinion, of them all, of all the villains. And yeah, he wisecracks, but I don't think he does it as much. Like, he does it enough to where I'm like, okay, this is probably just. I mean, he was in the context of the movie, he was designed by Tony Stark, so it's like, okay, yeah, he's Tony Stark's creation. He's gonna wisecrack a little like Tony Stark, but I still took him seriously. I mean, he was still a cool villain to me. I don't know. I mean, the whole, oh no, humanity is bad, I'm going to wipe them out, like, motive is super cliche, and I'll be the first to admit that, but I don't know, it didn't bother me too much, especially the first scene, the scene where Ultron wakes up, and it's like, it's not even like live, it's just like him like, and he's talking to Jarvis. I really liked that scene. I know some people didn't. They thought it was like too simple. Like he just wakes up and, oh, I'm evil now. And I mean, the scene was pretty short, but I feel like for such a short scene, it did a good job of summing up why he did this. Like he wakes up and basically like the screen goes completely black and you see this little flicker of light, or was there even... I can't remember if it starts out with a flicker of light and then Ultron talking, or if it starts out with Ultron talking. But Ultron starts talking, and, you know, James Spader with that cool, deep voice. With that... I can't do a James Spader voice, but if you look it up... He was on The Office for a while, if you've seen that show. Robert California, one of the characters in the later seasons, that was James Spader, if you've seen that show. But, his cool voice comes on, and it's like, ooh, menacing. And then Jarvis starts talking, and they start flashing through, like, images of him, like, going through all this data and stuff, and there's, like, images of different scenes of humanity just, like, flashing through, and you can... I don't know. I could like see, I could feel him getting overwhelmed by everything, by all the images that were entering his mind, and with some of them being like negative and stuff. I could see how he would flip out and like it and become evil. Like, I don't know. The scene worked to me. To some other people, I guess it just didn't, but to me, it worked. In my opinion, it worked. Another thing I liked, the comedy. People were like, "Oh, this movie is too silly." Maybe it was. I don't know. I didn't think. I felt there was a lot of comedy. There was definitely more comedy than the first Avengers movie. But I don't know. I kind of like. I like it when the movie. I thought it balanced the comedy with the seriousness well. Again, some people didn't, but I thought it did. But the comedy was very good. I'd almost put it above Guardians of the Galaxy, or on the same level as Guardians of the Galaxy, as far as like funny writing. And so yeah, that was the big plus for me, because I like my comedic Marvel superhero movies. That's why I haven't seen any of the DC ones. Well, I've seen some of the Dark Knight trilogy. I haven't seen the Dark Knight, the one that has Joker in it, which is like the best one, supposedly, but that's the one I haven't seen of the Dark Knight trilogy. I've seen the other two, the one with Bane, Dark Knight Returns, and the one with Scarecrow, Batman Begins, but not the one with the Heath Ledger Joker that everybody praises so much. But that's besides the point. I like my comedic. I mean, the fact that I loved Captain America: Winter Soldier so much shows that I don't only like superhero movies if they're comedic, but I felt like the tone was starting to shift to dark. It wasn't like completely Winter Soldier level dark, or I wouldn't call Winter Soldier dark, but it wasn't Winter Soldier level of serious, because Winter Soldier was like pretty much a spy thriller more so than a superhero movie, just with a main character that happened to wear a superhero-ish costume and throw around a vibranium shield. But, but there's some dark moments, like Ultron rips a guy's arm off at one point, just for saying that, just for accusing him of being a minion of a robot of Tony Stark's. He rips the dude's arm off. I mean, it's not like gory or anything. There's no gore coming out of it. But I feel like the movie was like starting the transit because Joss Whedon directed the first one, and he also directed the second one, and he's great at writing character banter, like comedic, lighthearted character banter, which it was good in the first Avengers movie and was even better in this movie. Like I guess from having one movie to work with these characters already, he was able to like really define like the character banter between the characters and really like perfect it for some funny moments. Like the scene that's in the trailers where they're all competing to pick up Thor's hammer, which there's actually an awesome continuation to that later in the movie that I'll mention probably later when I probably talk about spoilers. But God, I always lose my train of thought with these things. I should probably script these. Where was I? Oh yeah, Joss Whedon. But Joss Whedon's not directing the next Avengers movie. He's moving on to other things. So I feel like this movie is kind of like the start of a transition from the lighthearted first Avengers movie to the more dark and serious stuff that people are a little more dark and serious stuff that people are wanting to see out of Marvel. I mean, no one's asking them to go full DC Man of Steel or anything, but like it's starting to give it a bit more variety. And I have faith that Marvel will have the guts to do dark stuff. I mean, if you've seen Marvel's Daredevil on Netflix, I haven't finished watching it yet, but oh my god, that is dark. Daredevil is like actual, like, gritty, legit dark, as opposed to, like, blurred out, faded colors like Man of Steel, or even, like, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, which is one of my favorite Zelda games, but I'll be the first to admit that it's a very blurred out color means it's dark. Means it's dark and gritty type game. Blacks and like different shades of gray and black kind of thing. And Daredevil's like legit, like dark and gritty and stuff. And I really like so that show like puts to rest any fears that I have that Disney owning Marvel would like limit them and as far as to how dark their movies could go. I don't think any of their movies are ever going to go as dark as Daredevil does, because they're for kids. Like, well, they're not for kids, but they're meant to appeal to a kid audience too. So I don't think they're ever going to go that dark, but I feel like this is a nice transition point between lighthearted first Avengers and darker later stuff. I think a lot of it is the trailers. The trailers had people hyped up for this to be the big dark Avengers, and I kind of thought it was going to be that too. And then when it wasn't, I can't say I was disappointed about it not being, because I don't know, it was just so good. The comedy was great. The serious stuff was great. I'm trying to think of something I didn't like about it. I'm sure there was something. I just can't remember it because I forgot to review this earlier. And now that this is coming out, everybody's probably already seen Age of Ultron and generated their own thoughts about it. But, you know, I'd argue that I can give kind of an opinion that differs from the people who are more critical of it. I mean, I know, like, most of the criticisms I've seen are coming from internet comments, which are never very nice about their criticisms. But I've heard that the, like, overall review scores for it are lower than the ones for the first movie, which I will tell you without a doubt this is better than the first movie. Possibly the best Marvel movie. The only other one that is that for me could be considered that for me might be better is Guardians of the Galaxy. Winter Soldier's great. It's definitely my number 3 Marvel MCU movie after Age of Ultron and Guardians of the Galaxy, but I don't know. I mean, they've had 2 like great movies in a row with Guardians of the Galaxy and Age of Ultron. Have they had any in between that? I mean, I feel like they must have. Did Captain America Winter Soldier? No, that came out. Yeah, I don't. Did they really not release any Marvel movies in between Guardians of the Galaxy and Age of Ultron? I'm surprised they didn't release something between that. Ant-Man. Ant-Man's coming out next weekend. I'm gonna see that eventually. I'm leaving town, so I can't have my friends take me to it, but I have a friend where in California where I'm going, so maybe he'll want to see it. But anyway, the comedy's great, the action's great. I'm going to talk spoilers for a little bit now. I don't have that much detail to say, mainly because it's been 2 months since I watched this movie, and the little details are not like as significant in my head. First off, Andy Serkis. This isn't really that much of a spoiler. He's the guy that Ultron rips the arm off of. He sells vibranium, and Ultron is going to him to buy vibranium so he can make himself a metal robot suit out of vibranium, which in the Marvel Universe lore is the strongest metal on Earth. Or is it earthen? Is it like Earth, or is it from other planets? I'm not sure, but it's Captain America's shield is made out of vibranium, so that's how his shield is so indestructible, and which is why the trailer shot of the broken shield is so cool. But then when it's revealed that in the movie it's just an Iron Man hallucination, you're like, oh dang, they clearly just put this in the trailer to get us hyped up and make us think this was darker than it actually is. Which, yeah, I think a lot of the... No, I'm getting off track. I'll talk about this at the end. Andy Serkis is selling vibranium, and he's working on this ship in this, like, weird location off the coast of Africa. Which, speaking of Africa, I'm pretty sure his character is going to come back. Because nothing, like, his character never died or anything. So I'm pretty sure he's going to be coming back in, probably the Black Panther movie that's coming out in a couple years, which is like his character, I think, is like a African prince who becomes a superhero or something. So Africa, I'm pretty sure that character's going to come back. I've heard they're related in the comics. Well, not like blood related, but like they are connected in the comic timeline. So I'd be very surprised if his character does not come back in Black Panther or sooner Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. And the new characters, Vision and Quicksilver, or Scarlet Vision. I don't know what her name is. Oh yeah, they develop Hawkeye a lot more. They reveal that he has a family. Like at one point, they're trying to get away from Ultron, who's like got control of all the technology and stuff. So I've noticed movies been using this theme a lot lately of everyone being glued to their phones and how it'd be negative to society, which I find ironic considering that you're a movie industry making movies for people to watch on electronic devices, not necessarily phones, but like television sets, computers, movie theaters, that kind of thing. So it seems weird that you're criticizing society for being like that so much, but it's something that I've been seeing. Terminator Genesis did it, Age of Ultron did it, Kingsman kind of did it, not as much, but kind of like they kind of implied it. Well, I guess Age of Ultron implied to it. Genesis is the only one that was really obvious about it, but I don't know why movies do that so much. But anyway, like they're trying to get away, and so they go to Hawkeye. Hawkeye has a family that nobody knows about. Well, not nobody, but like none of the other Avengers knew about. And they develop his character a lot more. Like they reveal that he has a family and a wife, which is weird because it seemed like maybe him and Black Widow were gonna have a romance, but guess not. And they live out in the country. He has a wife and a kid, and I like what they did with his character. I liked what Joss Whedon did with all the characters. Okay, I'm just gonna keep talking, not worry about them. But I like what he did with all the characters. He made Hawkeye into an interesting character. He did pretty well with Scarlet Vision, whatever her name was, and Quicksilver. Oh, wait, no, Vision's a different character. What am I thinking Scarlet Witch, I think is what her name is. I don't know. Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver have an interesting backstory, which basically they were kids. They start out working for the bad guys, kind of like Hawkeye does in the first movie. Basically, their house was bombed by some bomb that had like the Tony Stark Industries logo on it, but they like survived and they were hiding under like a table or something, like stuck there waiting for the bomb, like trying to figure out how to get out before the second bomb exploded, or like second missile or whatever, and it had like Tony Stark's logo on it. So they like hate the Avengers, and that's why they're aligned with Ultron. But then they meet the Avengers and end up aligning with them and helping them, and they killed off Quicksilver. I warned about spoilers earlier, so this shouldn't be an issue. I had this spoiled to me by internet comments, blah. But I don't know. Quicksilver, I'm glad they killed someone off, because it's nice. It makes it a little more dark, but at the same time, I felt like they didn't develop him enough for it to really matter. Like even his sister Scarlet Witch, they developed more. By the way, just they are this Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are X-Men, but because of licensing rights between Fox and Marvel, they're not allowed to call them X-Men or even call them mutants at all. So they have like a completely different backstory than the one than in the normal than in like comics. So but like they didn't develop him very much. They both have accents, and I don't know, Scarlet Witch I thought was pretty well developed, but Quicksilver was just like, oh, I run fast, I pick up my sister and drag her out of things a lot. She seemed, but I like what they did with her, because she was kind of weak and timid in the beginning, and like sneaky, and then they kind of, like she gets scared during all the fighting, and Hawkeye like consoles her, kind of makes a self-aware joke, like, I'm a guy with a bow and arrow, what do you think how do you think I feel about all this? And that is, again, with the good development of Hawkeye. But they develop her well, but it almost feels like it almost feels like they were like, we're running out of time for this movie. Well, the director's, like, Joss Whedon's original version was like 3 hours, and they cut it down a bit, which I feel like I'd like to see the 3-hour version, because I mean maybe there were 1 or 2 scenes in that version that would have ran on a little long, but I wanted to see more. Even though it was like a good 2 hours, I did want to see more. That I loved the movie, I really did. Probably the best movie I've seen all year. Gosh dang it. But it almost seems like they were like, oh, we're gonna kill off Quicksilver in the end of this movie. We don't really need to develop him that much. Like, he doesn't have a character arc or anything. He's just kind of like there. I don't know. Kind of a weak part of the movie for me. And then Vision. Let's talk about Vision. They create Vision a good bit into the movie, actually, probably like an hour or so in at least. And basically, they had thought Ultron like succumb, encapsulated. I don't know. There's a word I'm looking for here that I can't think of. Encompassed. I guess that works. Encompassed. That implies whatever, he took control of Jarvis and like basically like sucked up Jarvis like digitally, and but then they revealed that Jarvis is secretly alive, which doesn't make that much sense, but whatever, don't think about it. And they use it to create basically what they were trying to create when Tony Stark and Bruce made Ultron in secret. They create Vision. But again, they do it secretly, which gets Captain America all mad, and they have a little fight, and then Vision kind of calms them down. But then, this is so awesome. They're like trying to figure out whether they can trust Vision or not, and there's like they're debating about it, and what pretty much the deciding factor is, he picks up Thor's hammer, just casually, as they're about to head off, or something. He, like, just picks up Thor's hammer, and Thor just stares at him. It was the most hilarious thing ever. It was the hilarious, and also, it was one of the most, like, it was both, like, extremely hilarious and extremely badass. And but yeah, the thing about Thor's hammer is it's like a sword in the stone type thing. It's like only those who are worthy can hold Thor's hammer. So the fact that he was able to hold, like, pure and good can pick up Thor's hammer, so the fact that Vision can pick up Thor's hammer, like, yeah, he can be trusted. And he was really cool. The headpiece in his head was one of the gauntlet things for the magic gauntlet, that the Infinity Stones, I think is what they're called. That, like, there was the one in Guardians of the Galaxy that was like the MacGuffin plot device of the movie. The Tesseract, I believe, is one of them, and there are like 6 or 5 or something, and they like form the Infinity Gauntlet. And Thanos there's an end credits scene involving Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet, so that was cool. I don't really remember what it was. Basically, I think he grabs the gauntlet that already has like a couple gems, and he's like, "I'll do this myself since Ronan couldn't do it." Basically, he said it in a much cooler way, but that was basically what it was. Okay, I need to stop talking about this. This has gone on for too long, but I liked the story. I liked the Black Widow Bruce Banner romance was a little weird, but I wasn't as annoyed by it as everyone else, as a lot of other people seem to be. That's the movie in general for me. It's like lots of people being annoyed about little things and nitpicking and like being negative. And I realize this is internet comments. Probably I'm sure the general consensus of the movie was a bit better than I'm making it sound, but it's like. But it's not as much of a, it's not as nearly, the praise is not nearly as unanimous as I feel like it is for the first movie, which doesn't make sense to me, because in my opinion, this is like twice as good as the first movie. Again, not to diss the first movie at all. This movie I loved, that movie I liked. So yeah, the only reviewer that I've seen who seems to have a similar opinion on it is Jeremy Johns. The best thing I can compare it to is, like, he reviewed Avengers, Age of Ultron, and he reviewed Mad Max Fury Road, and he gave Avengers a higher rating, but Mad Max is more, like, widely praised. That movie is so praised. If that movie is really as good as, like, I feel like I need to see that movie at some point, because people are just, like, constant praise about it, like, even more so. I feel like people were too picky with Avengers 2. Like, just the easily enrageable fanboy came out in a lot of them, and they like nitpicked it to death. I think the hype was just too big, and the trailers made it look like it was going to be darker than it was. But I guess opinions will be opinions. I loved it, and if anyone in the comments would like to rant about how wrong I am and how right they are, please spare me. I'm not going to change my opinion. I don't know if people. It's weird. Some people. I have friends who are like this. One friend in particular I can think of. I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to be that. I don't want to call out my friend in front of my 2 viewers. Well, then again, my reviews usually get a bit more views than 2. My reviews usually get like 10 or more views. But yeah, good movie. Great, no, not good movie, great movie. Best movie I've seen this year, 2015, definitely. Well, depends on whether, are we talking movies that, I don't know. If we're talking movies that came out this year, well, I don't know, Kingsman was really good too, so I don't know. It's either Kingsman or Avengers 2 are the best movies I've seen this year that came out this year, because there's, like, I watched, if haven't seen my Hot Fuzz review, I liked that one. That was also very great. Probably better than both of those 2 movies, but that didn't come out this year. So if we're talking about like best new movie this year, it's in my opinion, it's either Age of Ultron or Kingsman, or maybe Mad Max. I haven't seen it yet, but yeah, I'd say if you haven't already seen Age of Ultron, which I feel like most people have at this point, sorry that I forgot to review it sooner. I don't know how I forgot, because I feel like I remember recording a review of it, but maybe that was Guardians of the Galaxy I remember reviewing. But yeah, if you haven't seen it already, I'd go see it. If it even is, I'm assuming it's still in theaters. And then if Ant-Man makes any references to it, you'll be prepared. Arrivederci.